Hi, I'm Luke, Operations Director with Nukeproof North America. And this here is Whiskey, my trail dog extraordinaire. She doesn't really want to look at the camera right now, though. So, I'll put her down. It's new bike day, and you probably have something like this sitting on your doorstep. So what we're going to do today is walk through how to get your bike out, how to put it together, and how to make sure it is ready to roll on the trail. First thing I want to point out before we get into this is the box that we designed here is 100% recyclable and reusable, so don't throw it away. It is reusable, so if you choose to go on a trip or for whatever reason you need to return the bike back to us, you can reuse this box, so keep it handy. But the bike's going to show up in the box, and the first thing to do is going to be to open it up. We have two box designs right now. We have a side open box and we have a top open box. So make sure that you take a look at the sticker that's going to be on the side of the box. It's going to tell you how the box opens and how you're going to be able to get the bike outside of the box. You're going to need a box cutter. Go ahead and cut that tape, cut that nice sticker, which is a bit of a shame, but it happens. And we'll open up our box. Now that the box is open, I'm going to turn it so you guys can see what's going on here. We have some nice grab handles built in that help you grab this whole kind of carton and slide it out. We also have two QR codes that you're going to see. One is going to be the link to this video that you're watching right now, and the second one is going to be a link to a tubeless specific video that it's going to explain to you how to set up the tires tubeless. We set up all of our wheels and tires that we ship out dry. So they're almost tubeless ready. You just need to inject sealant, which is really easy. We're going to show you how to do that. So then you're going to pull this out. It might be a bit tough because we packed this pretty tight. There we go. And then there's a second grab handle on top here that you can use to finish the job. So the next thing you're going to want to look for is what we call our PDI pack. This is what has your pedals, your multi-tool, pedal wrench, and a little bottle of sealant. That's going to be located in the top corner here. We just tape that in place, so you're just going to want to go ahead and cut that packing tape. Remove your bottle of sealant, which we'll use in a minute. And then remove your PDI pack. Okay, so now that you've put that stuff away for a minute, we're going to set the tires up tubeless. Go ahead and pull the wheels out. It might be a bit of a tight fit. So you've got your wheels. They're going to be inflated because air is a great cushion to prevent the rims from being damaged during shipping. So you're just going to unscrew the valve and remove the air from your tire. Once you have the air removed, you're going to need to unscrew the valve core so you can inject the sealant into the tire. We ship all of our bikes with a dual purpose valve cap and valve core remover tool, which is almost always going to be on the rear wheel. So grab that. It slots right over the valve stem like this. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. So you're going to the left to loosen that up. We're just going to remove that valve. These are small parts, so make sure they're in a safe place. I'm going to put them right in my pocket. And then what we're going to do is grab our bottle of sealant. We use orange seal. Give it a good shake. Make sure all the particulate stuff in there is nice and shaken up. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the injector hose cap that comes with the bottle, swap that out with the regular cap. And then all you're going to do is press this cap on, just like that. And you're going to squirt about half the bottle's worth of sealant right into the tire. Nice and easy. You go ahead and remove that. You might get a little sealant squirt out at you, but it shouldn't be too bad. And then reinstall your valve core. All right, so after you thread this on, you're just going to go ahead and tighten it up with that valve core tool. Don't lose it. Stick it back in your pocket. We're going to grab our pump and just inflate this to your desired pressure. We do seat all of the beads on the tires dry before we ship them out to you, so you should have absolutely no problem setting your tires up tubeless with a floor pump at your house. If you do have any issues, definitely give us a call, shoot us an email, chat. Happy to walk you through, help you out however we can. Riding pressures for tires do vary, so check with the rim manufacturer, check with the tire manufacturer, check with whatever your body weight is, and inflate them to your desired pressure. Then all we're gonna do is make sure to close that valve down so it doesn't leak any air. Put the one wheel off to the side. Repeat the same process for the other wheel. Okay, so now that the wheels are all ready, we're gonna focus on the frame. Spin this around. It's the part everybody's been waiting for. So all of our bikes are professionally assembled and tuned before they ship out to you, so you're gonna have very, very minimal assembly that's gonna be needed. The other thing that I mentioned before is, once again, this is all 100% recyclable or reusable packaging materials. There's no plastics or anything like that in here. There is also a reusable volet strap that's got a nice Nukeproof branded logo on there, so if you have a spare tube, just go ahead and use that to stick it to your frame. So what we're gonna do first here is remove the fork and set it up so we can install the handlebar. So the way we're gonna do that is remove the volet strap from the back of the backing material here. And then we're gonna remove our stem cap and our fork brace, and we're gonna pivot the handlebar 180 degrees, just like this. What we're gonna do after that, I'm gonna get my multi-tool out of my PDI pack, which is over here. We're gonna remove our stem pinch bolts. This one uses a 4mm Allen. We have a whole bunch of different stems. Some use 5mm Allen, some use T25, so just make sure that you're using the right tool. We do recommend to use a torque wrench to nip these down. We'll probably start providing one in the future, but for now, just make sure that if you have one, you use a torque wrench. If you don't have one, maybe after you put it together, just drop by a local bike shop and have them check the torque on the stem pinch bolts. Once you get these loose, they should kind of come off with your fingers. And then once you get all these bolts unthreaded, just take your stem face plate, just rest it up there for now. And then what we're gonna do is remove the handlebar. There's two Velcro straps that connect the handlebar. Go ahead and undo those. Your handlebar will just slide right out. And you could just pitch the bike forward. Just remember it is still connected at the back end, so it shouldn't fall over on you. We're just gonna install this. You'll probably drop a bolt. It's fine. Just make sure you look where it drops so you don't lose it. Get a couple threads in, get your multi-tool that you dropped earlier, and tighten it back down. The nice thing about this particular setup is if you look at it, we'll probably do a close-up here shot in a second, but there are these nice crosshairs that help you line up the stem with the handlebar. You'll probably want to tweak this after you get the bike fully put together. Everybody's a little different. They like their handlebars set up a little different, their brake levers set up a little different, but we set up everything in a relatively neutral position and then allow you, the customer, to tweak things. So I'm just gonna go ahead and torque these down slightly with the multi-tool. And then because we are a professional shop here, I've got a torque wrench. So we'll just make sure that this is torqued. One thing to note as well, there are different stems that we sell. Some stems are set up with an even gap on the stem faceplate, and some are set up with what's called a no-gap system. So you flush up the top and then you torque the bottom to spec. That's gonna be written pretty clearly on the stem itself, so make sure you pay attention to that. Also take a look at the QC sheet. So when these bikes are built and assembled, they get quality control checked by one mechanic and then also by a second mechanic. You're going to get a filled out sheet that's going to be in the PDI pack that's going to explain to you exactly what we did, all the torque specs for the stuff that you're going to be tightening. Just in case you don't see it on the part, you can refer to the paper slip sheet. If for whatever reason you don't have a sheet, we do store it digitally as well. So give us a call, chat, email, whatever, and we can definitely pull that up for you and get you the specs that you need. But once that's done, we can fully release the frame. The way we do that is just this one Velcro strap back here, remove that, and then the whole unit pulls out. All right, so now that we've cleaned up the set, if you have a bike stand, now's the perfect time to use it. A lot of people don't, so we're gonna show it to you this way. Just flip the bike over. If you have carpet, that's ideal. Just put it down on some carpet so you don't scuff up anything, but we're gonna try to be careful here and not scratch any components as we're going through this. So let's put the wheels on. The first wheel we're gonna do is the front wheel, because that's the easy one. We'll get that out of the way first. And grab your 6mm Allen. And again, there are certain fork manufacturers that we sell that have slightly different fixing points than others, but we do write all of the torque specs on that QC sheet that I mentioned earlier. So make sure that if you have any questions, refer to that sheet. Should be able to help you out. So grab your front wheel. Make sure you have the rotor side going into where the caliper is. And just drop it in slowly, making sure that that rotor is sitting in between those two brake pads. Take your through axle, slide it in. Go ahead and tighten that down. There is a listed torque on here of 9 Newton meters. So if you have a torque wrench, now would be a good time to use one here. And then this particular design, fork design by Fox, has this pinch bolt here. You just want to just nip that up. Doesn't need to be super high torque. It's just holding the through axle in place. Then what I'm going to do is come on to the rear wheel and do roughly the same thing, but this always looks a little more daunting because you have to get the chain around the cassette, but we'll walk you guys through how to do that. So we're just going to remove our axle, and as we're going to remove our axle, we're going to just grab a hold of this cardboard chain holder here, because it does tend to kind of snap forward as you pull the axle out, just like that. And put this off to the side. Again, that is reusable. So the next thing we're going to want to do after that is we ship all of our bikes about halfway up the cassette just to reduce shipping damage, because we're basically kicking the derailleur inboard. So you want to make sure that you're shifted all the way down into your hardest gear or the furthest away from the center line of the bike. So what you're going to do is you come over your shifter, just click that until it stops moving right there. Then we're going to grab our rear wheel, line the cassette up with the derailleur, rotor up with the caliper. And what we're going to do here is we're going to lift the bottom part of the chain up and over the cassette like this. And then we're going to pull the derailleur back, and you're going to get that 10-tooth, that little tiny cog there. You want that chain to rest right on top of that, just like that. And then you're going to just push and drop this down. Once you get the chain past the cassette, you can focus on the rotor. I'm just going to make sure that that rotor drops in to those brake pads. And then we can just thread our through axle in and tighten her down. One thing to note too, on Shimano drivetrains, they do have an on-off clutch. SRAM drivetrains and I believe box drivetrains are always on. With Shimano, before you ride, you want to make sure that clutch is in the on position. Just going to help with chain retention and shifting performance. So just make sure off, on. Now that you're at this point, it looks like you have a pretty complete bike, but not quite. You need pedals. If you have your own, just imagine you're using your own pedals. What I'm going to do is show you the pedals that we provide. They're just some basic but very nice, good quality plastic pedals. And then we also give you a specific pedal wrench to torque them down. So, and then we also have the multi-tool that I was using earlier. So what we'll do is we'll take our pedals, and we'll just open the plastic. This is the one piece of plastic we have. Trust me, we're working on it. The pedals are labeled left and right. They do have a specific thread direction. The left pedal is reverse threaded. So when you're threading it on, you're gonna actually thread it to the left to tighten it on. One thing with pedals is you do wanna lubricate the threads. If you have grease, that's great. If you don't, you can use chain lube. You could even use something like Vaseline in a pinch. You definitely wanna put a little bit of grease on pedal threads, just because if you leave the pedals on for a really long time and then you go to try to take them off, or if you switch from flat pedals to clipless pedals, you could be in for a world of hurt. So just make sure to put a little bit of grease on those pedals. And then what we're gonna do, always start pedals by hand. Because if you don't start them by hand and you force them and you strip your cranks, you're gonna have a bad day. And we don't want that on new bike day. So start them by hand. You can see that this is the right pedal and that's threading on just fine in the normal direction. And then when you go to the left pedal, probably hard to see on camera, but I'm threading it to the left and it's tightening on. We'll go ahead and tighten that. And then what we'll do is grab our little pedal wrench. And once you have it finger tight, hold the rear wheel and just give it just like 1/8 of a turn. Just kind of nip it up. And that's it. You've got a bike ready to ride. The one thing I do want to note as well, if you decide to purchase an e-bike from us or a bike that has some sort of electronic shifting system, double check, make sure that stuff's charged before you head out for your first ride. We do charge everything here in our facility before we ship it out to you, but if the bike sits around in the warehouse for several hours, or not several hours, several months, it's probably going to lose a little bit of charge. So just make sure those are topped off and get out, enjoy the trails, get it nice and dirty. We'll see you out there.